Hey, hello. My name is Kenny slash Kenzel Bean, or some people in my family and who live around me nowadays call me Kiki as well. And this is actually just going to go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and have this be like a quick recap or almost like a like part three of my just chronically online venting in a way, and it's just gonna be kind of just kind of blabbering about, and just everything that's really going in my life. How everything's going in my life right now so far, anyways. Um, but yeah, now that I'm, actually starting off the conversation talking about, chronically online, like on YouTube activity, addiction to social media, just overconsumption of social media, and how it's actually genuinely causing more and more depression and anxiety and stress for me right now. Like, I actually would not be telling the full truth if a lot of things I do kind of like habitually subject myself to on the like that I subject myself to on a very pervasive and just um like routinely persistent like basis, and I want to say like I'm not gonna go into detail about this, but my family was also starting to see signs of me and my mental health declining a lot due to how much chronically online activity I've been just sucked into, and I'm actually starting to worry that there's like very little to nothing to treat this online social media addiction. Maybe I'll stop just having to forcibly turn my phone off and force myself to work in like community service programs or something like that. I mean, at this point, like, realistically, even just being in like a soup kitchen slash like I guess homeless shelter type place will probably actually give me more of a purpose and like meaning in a way to exist. Because I will be very honest, and I probably said this in the first two videos previously that I am heavily unmotivated right now, and I have no solid path to where I want my life to go, and I also just in general, like, I've become more and more like just hesitant, and I haven't really just always been even forward to looking up in the like waking up in the morning fully all the time, or A lot of times when I do wake up, I barely stay awake for like 3 or 4 hours. Then I go back to sleep again. Mm. And I would also not be sincerely like expressing like my genuine concerns and what my actual struggles are and how I need to sooner or later actually, like, I understand that, like, I can't be almost like, like all the way up to like 25, 26, and I don't at least have some kind of like clear goals in life of some kind. And I am definitely the whole like unemployed, chronically online, young adult kind of dude, kind of person. And I will not touch on this too much, but I am actually a trans male who is probably not going to be able to do a whole lot medically anyway. And of course, with how, like, Trump is, handling healthcare and stuff like that, and how, like, even, immigrants and stuff like that will get certain medical covered care insurance plans and stuff, and ways to cover that treatment. Mm. I feel like even me wanting to go through a transitioning process like that is also gonna like, I would say especially nowadays, it is definitely going to take a lot of like financial discipline and all that as well, and financial responsibility as well, and financial budgeting and management skills a lot better. And I do. I mean, I think I said this earlier, like a couple days ago already. But like, I'm clearly overweight. I'm clearly fat. I'm fat. I'm a fat guy. I won't deny that one. Like I'm almost 300 pounds overweight. 300 pounds overweight at like 5'2", 5'3". So I am, built like a, like a fat version of Danny DeVito right now. I'll be honest. And and even though people will probably, the people have political views and political views and beliefs, religious beliefs, whatever, as far as like like the LGBT sluts, trans, gender community, all that stuff, transgender community, beliefs and debates around that stuff. So I'm not gonna go into too much about my life in that way, but I would be lying if I wouldn't realistically want to at least save up for hormone treatment and like 2 breast reductions and or mastectomy one day. And I would also like to get my name changed in court, which I think I said like Kenny Kenzel, really Kenzelian Bean, but I'm not gonna talk about myself too much, too far in the rest of this video. But I will have to at least get some of my honest thoughts and truths about myself out, and that I am actually feeling a lot more depressed, a lot more hopeless, and just just overall, I have a lot of just emotional despair and grief that I'm dealing with mentally right now. And like I said, clearly, especially being like chronically online on the internet, constantly looking at social status posts like damn near like 24/7 every single day. I'm actually starting to see the hard way that, like, in a lot of ways that social media and technology can actually, seriously be damaging for you and emotionally damaging towards you if you're like overly indulging in it or consuming in it too much. And oh yeah, some of the other things I was struggling with. One of them I think I kind of just talked about it briefly already. Um, I do have just like very low or negative just self esteem in general. Like my body image hasn't been the best, and I already just feel really just hopeless and just not even just down bad, but almost like way low below sub zero. Like it's really not looking too great for me right now. And I'm like I think I'm almost like 22. And I am actually a young adult who is a bum, who is fat, and who does, like I said, just I do a lot of, chronically online doom scrolling, addiction stuff, and or I deal with that stuff right now heavily a lot. And like I said, I'm just trying to just vent out how I really feel. And just listing off some of the ways I can actually change those things or learn how to change them. Like, I just have like terrible habits in general. I need a break socially and all that. And I think in one of my last videos, I said I literally didn't have any actual friends. And I think if I had any, it was like three. I think I had like maybe like two or three guys I talked to temporarily in high school. Um, and like I said, I wasn't gonna get into you know, sex, gender, talk, that kind of stuff. But kind of like, I guess transitioning kind of stuff for me. It's like, um, I guess as far as like dating and relationships, like I'm generally, I would say, bisexual attracted. Right, bisexual sexual orientation, sexual attraction to both men and women, or just feelings in general for men and women, and I'll definitely say that. I'll probably, more than likely, end up growing up with having a boyfriend and a girlfriend, probably. I may or may not just. I potentially see myself being in a poly relationship, honestly. But I won't talk too personal as far as that. But you know, like I said, I mean, kind of like the friends thing. I already know, like very few people are gonna find me that physically attractive. And like I said, I already did actually bring up Diamond Transmill. I brought that up. Transmill because another thing is like I do see discourse online about that. I see discourse online about the dating, all that stuff. And for me, right now, um, I mean, like I said, obviously I'll just date people who are, gonna have something in common like that with me and stuff like that. And I mean, I don't really be trying to discuss politics a whole lot right now. Because it is very chaotic, very stressful, dystopian times that a lot of us are going through right now. But I guess like before I wrap this up, like I said, I'm just kind of talking, just blabbering, rambling. Pretty much just a third ramble slash rant. They call it yapathon sessions, I guess. Just letting you know how I'm feeling about how the way I'm living. And like I said, I mean, I am just genuinely just feeling depressed and a lot more anxious and stressed. Yeah. And I also understand that the way that I'm living is definitely not, acceptable for an adult. I'm aware of that. Since like I said, all I do is either doom scroll all day most of the time, and like play video games. Even then, I don't even think I always play the Xbox like that. To be honest, I don't think I've even always been playing video games like all that much recently when I started back. And I will even just go as far as saying there were literally even like I had at least like 5 or 6 other hobbies at one point, and like I said, just being so chronically online on my phone and so attached to my phone, like it's literally just making it harder for me to exist in the real life with real people because I'm just not letting myself do that, even though I clearly need to. I do actually need to. Like I say, even if I have to get to this point, I may have to get to a point where, like, I have my phone locked up for me and, like, all the apps are blocked and it's, like, completely turned off. And, like I said, I may just have to force myself to get into community service work of some sort. And this, do like, almost like a pure detox or close to pure detox of technology. I think that's where it's gonna have to actually get to with me. Since, like I said, my mental state is just getting worse and worse. My depression is getting worse and worse, and it's deteriorating worse and worse. And it's just not all that great. It's not that good. It's not doing too great. Not too great at all, actually.